This is day 507 of the Arukh HaShulchan. If you'd like to sponsor upcoming share or more of the Arukh HaShulchan, please contact me directly. It would be very greatly appreciated. Today we're doing Siman Shinta Zayin Aleph to Ches. We Shinta Zayin for a few days still. Yud Aleph. Mishnah Melachat Seder Mekam Melachos. The melacha of trapping is different than all the other melachas. All the melachas you have to do melacha. I have a gram melacha and a chayim yatar, but causation of the melacha is not a prohibition. To see lotas sekam melacha, do not perform any melacha. Asiud also. I have a gram shari. Performance is permitted, but causation is performance is forbidden, but causation is permitted. I feel be gram chayiv. Lech of Tzeda, even if causation is liable to a Raisa. As it says, if you have a deer which entered the house and somebody closed the door behind it, Chayav is liable. Grama, this is causation. Shehu lo yichnis seen to the Maisa bringing the deer into the house. The deer came in on his own. He only caused by locking the door. That way the deer was trapped. And time Milsa would say, the reason why by say that it's not called causation, Pirish Rashi is like Rashi says, Zohi Tzeidos Lakanashot, this is the way in which you trap things. Meaning, you can say that how Maisa Chodeshno B'Vnei Atzvi. Rav HaShulchan elaborates that this the primary component of trapping is the last act of locking the door in front of the deer. We learn all tell us if you didn't lock the door, even though you caught it, you trapped it yourself. You grab the deer by the hand. There from the field, you and put it in the house. The Lona out, but he didn't lock it. He did nothing. So grabbing the animal in of itself is not Seder. It's an interesting concept which I never thought of before. It has to be put into a place from which it cannot escape. It's not enough to hold it, to grab it, to seize it. The primary part of the component of the trapping is locking. And two people lock the door together. They're both exempt. If you have in any melech of Shabbos, two people do it together, they're both exempt. When he does it, one person doing melacha is liable. If he can do it on his own under normal circumstances. But if one person cannot lock it on his own, two people locked it, they're both liable. That's called each one could not have done it on his own. Both of them are liable. One could have done it on his own, and the other one could not have done it on his own. One could have done it on his own is liable. Which costs up the semen ratio and base gabi otzah. And the second one, having Messiah, he's only an assistant, only assisting. And that's not significant, and he's not chayiv. Of course, as the Mishnah says here, it's potter of loser. It's still asmi rabbanim. A pesach farm gufaf. But if the door is already blocked, and therefore the deer is already as if it is. It's caught, it's trapped. They're allowed to further lock the door with the lock. Even though you're adding to the original shmira, the original blockage, you are adding additional barrier. In terms of trapping, he didn't do anything. It's already trapped. It's trapping already completed. Find much time to see Tezayin, we will see what he has to say about that Tezayin. We'll see the Mitzvah still today. Your base, if you have a deer which enters the house. If I pass up a only opening, the door is open. If a Pesach became stand from the door, it's a Pesach, and he filled the opening. No matter that by sitting there, the deer is trapped. Somebody else can sit next to him. In front of him or in back of him. Even the first one got up and left. Now it's the second guy is impeding the deer from leaving. The first guy is liable, the second guy is exempt. Could do this deliberately. It's only the second guy can do it deliberately. It's because it's only as if he's guarding a deer which was already trapped yesterday. He's not doing anything. Who here too, it's the same thing. You should know some people say they must sheni potter. When is the second one exempt? Specifically when the second person sat in front of the first person. And the first person goes into the house. The door was never left open for a moment. First guy was sitting there, second guy sat in front of him, first guy left, it's still closed. This will also be true about if the second guy came from inside the house, sat behind the first guy, and then the first guy left the house. Was sat next to him, and the first guy got up and left. And the second guy now moves from his place, and now fills the place where the first guy was. The second guy is also chayav. They came to the Bekerega, because since for a moment the place is left empty, and the deer could have left. So it comes out that the ongoing trapping is being done by the second person. Some people say that even in this case, where he was sitting on the side, the second guy can then move over deliberately to sit in the place where the first one just vacated. Because the deer is already trapped. Just like somebody who has a hen in his house, and the door was open, and should be forbidden to close the door. So it's already nitzod, and the fact that one guy takes the other guy's place is just ongoing shmira, like the previous case, not a new ma'aset seder. The Mishnah Berurah writes that it's osir. Basically, Bialacha writes that even according to Avram, the second guy can only come and sit there once after the first guy leaves if his intent is to safeguard his home, not in order to trap. Yudalit. Ubitosefta sham mashmaled yikadei rishoya. In Tosefta, it sounds like the first opinion, which is the opinion of the Tesis Yotam and Eliyah Rabbah. The Talmud says that if you trap a deer into a courtyard which has two openings, potter, you're exempt. I feel even you close one of them. Now, Rishon's pesach, where one of them closed, locked the door. And the second guy came and locked the second door. The second guy is liable. The first guy is exempt. The first guy came back and he opened and locked it. Right? The first guy is liable for the second trapping. Yeah, the first opinion was more machmir. The opinion was more meko. Not sure I made that clear. So he's a pastor of the Rabbah, and the Rabbah ones are machmir. And this seems to be evidence what they're saying. Right here, even after it's trapped, if you open the door afterwards, and then you locked it again, whoever did that second lock is liable. Because the deer could have left in the interim. According to this, if you have a chicken inside your house, if the door was open, also you're not allowed to close it. Well, you have a chicken inside the house, you can't go to shul. Also, it says further Tosefta about the second guy singing as the first guy. Yoshev Echad Pesach, when they sat by the door, front of the door. Somebody else came and sat inside the door. Another guy came and sat outside the door. Yoshev Pesach, one seeing the door, Chayav is liable. The second two are exempt. That so also it sounds like the first opinion that we're machmir. that when it says the second guy comes and sits next to him, that the second guy is exempt, specifically if it's in front of him or behind him. Not next to him. I feel there this is, however, true, even going for a spinning, which is more makbir. And the second, it was like, the lechem aponim, right? The Kohanim who were leaving, was the Kohanim one side removed it, and immediately the Kohanim on the other side put the new ones on without any gap. So the same case here. Rishon Amav Hashem also rega bileimakamo was no point it was empty, came immediately and filled the space. The Ganki Lav Klumu Kamavan also saying guy is not liable in that case. Also, if you open the door where there's into a house where there's a chicken and you immediately lock it, it's no prohibition. The Isra is mamwa, so there has to be some sort of gap of time where the door is when the door is open. Those butlats and Rishon enough, that should be enough to negate the first trapping. And now this is a new trapping. But with chickens in the house, there is no tzeda at all. Okay, in other words, he's saying, you know what? The chicken house is not a problem anyway, as we shall see in Simon Tav Tzadi Gain. But also, Gamba Simon says, Sif Lama Gimel, his bar is going to come clear later on. The Chayav of Shibashu, so if you have an animal or a bird, which is already in your rishus, in your domain, and Bohem say there's no trapping involved with them. Even though it's forbidden trapping them with Shabbos, nevertheless, at least the Daraisa doesn't apply. Therefore, there's no problem with our domesticated birds to open and close the door. If we didn't hold that way, it would become a big chumrah for anybody who owns a dog, that they wouldn't be allowed to open and close their door on Shabbos. Tesvav, over for Tosef Tasham. Yosha Achara Pesa. One sat, Tosef says one person sat at the opening. And then somebody else came and trapped the animal inside. Versus sitting at the door is the one liable. But some of the important, the person who trapped it inside is exempt. Klomar, meaning afilu imasheni tzalda also mamash babayis. The guy literally trapped it inside the house. In other words, it was roaming around the house, and some guy seized it. Never sees exam came which kvar kinitzo mishibasa shvishal pesa could ready to achieve the status of being trapped from the first guy sitting on the door. Mireli b'chai gavna hasheni potar v'loser. Nevertheless, that's what I'm showing. Even though it's not a Torah liability, but it's also the Rabbanan. V'olchini sham we also went there. Yoshav el pesach. Some one guy sits on the door. When you find a deer inside the house, afal pishim miskavin leishev achetech shach. Even though he has in mind to sit there until night falls, till after Shabbos, but he's exempt. Because the hunting took place before he thought about it. But you only chayav if you have in mind deliberately to trap. But if the hunting came before the thought, you're exempt. Meaning, the came to since when he sat down the doorway, he didn't know at all there's a deer in the house. It's just when he was sitting there and it became known to him, he determined to sit there until nightfall deliberately, so the deer should remain inside. Part is exempt, because the trapping preceded the thought. The nearer the potter mutter. Roshon says now is it potter, but it's mutter. So this says, if a bird goes under your clothing, you sit and watch until nightfall. We see it literally allowed. He was allowed to literally sit there until nightfall and watch it. Birlach is not sure about this. Birlach is not sure, A, if you sat on the opening, forgetting that Shabbos, forgetting this is a malacha, slightly different case. You sat opening, weren't sure the Shabbos were for it, sure it's a malacha, and then he became aware of it afterwards. Are you then allowed to sit there until it becomes dark? Because whatever happened, happened. and it's not going to fix Isser by getting up right now. And at the end, that's his suffix. At the end, he said, sounds like he's showing that he's not allowed to continue sitting when he becomes aware of it. So that certainly goes against the Arukh HaShulchan. Because obviously, unless you're going to say the Mishnah Berurah case where at some point you were aware there was a deer in there and then you forgot that the deer was in, I guess, yes, that is a different case. Because then Mishnah case where you were aware there was a deer in there. You forgot, however, that it was Shabbos and so also to catch the deer on Shabbos, or you forgot that there's a deer, but and you or you forgot that there's also to do tzeda. Sorry. It's also to the trap, and then that's where you can sit there. He wasn't aware at all that there was a deer inside the house. That's not really shogeg. It's more misasek. Because you think you're doing a mutter act. In this case, in Mishnah Berurah's case, you know you're doing something which could be usher, but you forgot that the circumstances were there which would make it usher. But in the case of Arukh HaShulchan, you didn't know, and therefore you thought you were doing just something permitted, and therefore that's why he could have made sitting afterwards. So it's not a contradiction. Mishnah Berurah says you're not allowed to take an animal in your hands in any way, not because of Seder, but because of Mukta. You have to sit and wait until darkness. Or if you have somewhere, I don't know what he means by this. He has a house, he goes and leaves it there. I guess once you did pick it up, you put it down somewhere else. Not sure. Tesai, Kvain is Barabasif Ayurav. The Sayachov is Zaynachov. One person could be able to do it on his own, and the other person could not. The one who could do it on his own is liable. Kasar Basay Baletoisis, the high in Yachov, that person who couldn't have done it on his own, and a few Bal Kor Chabe. Seemingly he's very strong. El Shunose Akor Binyan Zeh. But we're talking about not the case of hunting, of trapping, obviously. We're talking about carrying, and it's carrying a large beam. One of them had the capacity to carry on his own, the other one did not. So Taisa says the Hainu Yochel, the person who cannot, it seems to be he has great strength. But he's carrying the beam in a manner that if not for the other person who's there, he could not have carried it on his own. Come back to us with one finger. Or he grabs it in some way which he could not have carried on his own. The Malal Koko, who cares how much strength she has a potential? Since at this point, he will not be able to carry it in this manner on his own. Yerushalmi says, in case of the deer entering the house, no Lushline term two people locked on their exam. One of them could not have locked on his own. There's no Lushline, and both of them locked. They're both Chayal Chevin. On Yerushalmi, and this Yerushalmi says, one of them was strong, and the other one was weak. No Chayal called Sarko. If the sick person locked it sufficiently to keep the deer in. And the healthy person not lock it sufficiently to keep it in. The is liable. And the person who is too sick to do it on his own is chayav. The person who is healthy is exempt. Meaning, it goes without saying they're both equal in health. Everyone, each one that could have done it on his own. But one of them locked it with a weak force. In a manner that he himself could not have locked with this exerting only this amount of force. To Potri is exempt. The second guy is liable. I feel that's true. That's certainly true. But one was healthy and one was sick. But the healthy person locked with a soft strength, with a weak strength, and the sick person locked with all his strength. The healthy person is exempt because he was using insufficient force, and the chol is chai because he was using sufficient force. Okay, it says here in Cain Parish, you're going to Shasham, Bnei Moshe, and Shama Korban Parish Zar v'Tamua. Wherever the Korban says, it's strange. Yuzayin Odis Sham Yusham. Yusham also says here Tzvi Ratzkidarko. A deer was galloping along, running along at its normal pace. in its normal way. When he's coming, we about you had a mind to lock behind him. But no bado, and you lock behind him. I'm sorry. It's kind of no bado. You want to lock behind yourself when you enter the place, and but no bado about its feet, and you lock behind yourself and de facto for the deer as well. Mutter, it's okay. Those who say it's true even if you knew that the deer was inside. But you had in mind only to lock your house. It's just that automatically the deer is trapped. Still mutter, it's permissible. You see that people complain about this. How can say this? It's a psik ratio. It's a psik ratio. He's definitely going to trap it, and it's the definite ramification of his action, so therefore he should be able to do the action. So they explain differently. It said, Shu also being he's misasik, like we said before, in locking the door. He doesn't know that there's a deer there. And he found the deer inside. That's mutter. So don't be concerned that there might be a deer inside. And you also don't have to open the door afterwards to let the deer out. That is a quote from who said this? The Ran. So Rosh said, I don't say. He came, That's the case. What the Yerushalmi adding to the Mishnah? But Mishnah, oh my God, it's like you lock the door in order to safeguard your house, and a deer is inside. Same case. And he just like the So it says, this I think is a pshat. Do I say Milas Beso? He's involved in locking his house. And he's at the end of the locking up the house. And then the deer comes in. He's not required to impede himself from locking. The Eza in your psik is not psik in any way, shape, or form. Because you're not going to turn it all to trap it. So since you started the process without the deer present, the fact that you're ending up the process for your original intent doesn't make you chayav. He says maybe it's kavanah the Rashba, which the Ran brings down. Yudches kasel Torah shemar l'siv zayin. Had slightly chashim akram b'Shabbos, somebody who traps snakes and scorpions on Shabbos, or shara mosia mazikim, or other creepy crawly things which are damaging. In refuah chayav, you capture them in order to make an ointment out of them. You're liable. If so, they shouldn't bite you. Mutter, it's permissible. Akan l'shona. Sharatzion says, nevertheless, you should not bring into your house as you would normally when trapping some sort of animal. Other people should not come to suspect you that you are trapping them for your own purposes. Back to Arukh HaShulchan. Mishnah Perik based ideas for who have Shabbos so Perik. You give them a farsham. The Mishnah Tam Potter, even though Mishnah sees the language of Potter, seems to mean yes, but still also Rabbanan. Here it's not the case. Potter who mutter. This case is not only exempt if you did it, but you're allowed to go ahead and do it. But time does sell malacha and similar gufa. This is because this is malacha where you don't need the primary purpose of the malacha. You're doing it for a different purpose. Rabbanan didn't make an act there where people can get hurt. So it means the primary tzeda is to catch the thing inside because you want it. Here's to catch the thing inside because you don't want it. Okay, so therefore it'll be potter and mutter because rabbinic tzeda will not apply. And if it's a definite danger, such as where they're pursuing him, these animals, mutter gam lehargam, because she's barred. You're allowed even to kill him, as we shall see. Where the danger is not so clear. Therefore, you shouldn't violate a Torah prohibition for this purpose. But a rabbinic prohibition, which is the case by any malacha where you're not doing it for the purpose for which it was originally intended in the Mishkan. Rabbanan did not maintain that akana in the face of potential damage. Mishnah says that place where the suspicion is very, very remote. So there's places where these animals don't bite at all, and they're not running after them. You're not allowed to capture them with your hands. Only you're allowed to say some incantation over it. Okay, back to Arukh HaShulchan. But if you're catching, let's say, a spider, a scorpion, because you want to make serum out of its venom or whatever else you want to do, um, for its purpose of healing. So then you're chayiv. Because if you have in mind to do for medicine, you have in mind to capture them, and use them. Which is done for its actual appropriate purpose. That's reliable. No, this is not talking about a case where the schela, the person one is in danger of losing his life, and where the treatment is definitely good. The imkan in that case, that's great. The Shabbos. As Marina talking about here rather only a sick person in which there is no danger, or sheyesh basakara, but there is a danger, but this medication has not been scientifically proven to actually be the cause of these people had it getting better. Okay, we'll come back to Machshan Segufa next lecture.